I am Randy Varsava. Let's do business for God. I want to tell you a testimony. Something that happened to me when I was still working um, in the trade, for a trade union. I was working for this company and as a pipe fitter welder. And I knew that my time there, that my days there were numbered. I was finished doing that. I was going to go into business. And my closest friend, coworker, of course, he knew that what I had in mind, what I was going to be doing. Everybody knew what I was going to be doing. And on an occasion, he knew I was Christian, and he respected that. He had some grasp of the power of God that I walk in. He'd seen God show out many times after I prayed and or did certain things. So he'd seen lots of that. He didn't need any convincing. He was, oh yeah, I'm on board, he'd say. But he did not consider himself a Christian. Well, anyway, it occurred to him. He said to me one day, I was going to be quitting very, very soon. And he said to me one day, he come up to me and he goes, hey, when you quit, are you going to stop praying for this company? Because we had come through many times, he and I, working for that company. We worked there for years. We were the steady eddies, you might say. And we had come through together many times where the company bosses would come and say, we don't know if we have enough work for after 3 weeks from now, just letting you know. And when they would say that, or we would hear information come to us, information would come to me about what the situation was in the local refineries or construction or whatever, then I would just pray and the work would come in. This went on for years and years. And anyway, he said to me, hey, when you quit, are you going to stop praying for the company? I immediately got really quiet. And I said to the Lord, how do I answer that? This is a thought that came to me. And this is what I said. I said it nice, but I said to him, very matter of fact, like the guy in the movie said, it's just business. I said, no. I said, when I quit, I said, my prayers are going with me. And when I said that, this guy's face, it just went blank. His face said, oh no. He understood. I'm gonna tack on another testimony to this one here that just occurred to me. This is a really remarkable testimony. I was working in a chemical plant. This is another time, another company, another situation. I was working in a chemical plant, and the word came down that they're going to be laying off guys on Thursday. Well, I got my faith on the line all the time for my job. All the time. It's like leaving your headlights on. You never shut them off. It's sort of like that. You turn your faith on. You don't turn the headlights off. You leave them on when it comes to faith. So the union steward come around. This little Baptist guy, not a faith man. I'm going to be blunt. Not a faith man. Couldn't believe his way out of a wet paper bag if he had to, because he was not trained in faith. Because where he goes to church, they don't train and teach faith. I think they must teach que sera, sera, like whatever will be, will be. Well, that's not faith. That's hogwash. Well, Anyway, the union steward come down, and he knew where I stood in faith in the things of God. And he comes up to me, and he's gloating and glaring right in my face, and he goes, "Layoff on Thursday." And he said something like, "You're on the list. You're." There's a phrase that you would use in a union situation. I don't remember what it was, but anyway, it meant if there's only one guy that gets laid off on Thursday, you're him. And he just stood there and grinned at me. I'm listening down inside, and I said to the Lord, "Do we have an answer for this? Or I'm not obligated. I can just stand there and look at the guy." And the thought that came to me was to say to him, and I did. I said to him, "Well, do what you got to do." And he just smiled at that, and the way he went off on his merry way. Well, I'm standing in faith, have been for always. Oh, I suppose probably a half an hour later, or something like that, this guy that's on the job site, this is a union job site. There's another guy on the job site, welder, and I was working in that situation as a welder. And this other welder, he's a local man with more seniority than me. And he knew about me. He knew where I stand in the Lord. He's a born again, spirit filled guy. And he comes over to my shack where me and my partner, my pipe fitter, were working in this little, not much more than a doghouse of a shack, doing our thing. And he comes in there and he goes, "Hey, Randy." He said, "So and so, the union steward, just talking to me." He said, about the layoff on Thursday. And as it turns out, there was only one guy that was going to be laid off. And that was me. That's what the union steward had came to tell me. So this guy, his name is Jerry. He comes in there and he says to me, "Hey, concerning that layoff on Thursday." I goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Don't worry about it." He says, "I'm going to quit, so you won't get laid off." Give me a big smile and turned around and left the shack. Tell that testimony to somebody today. See you next time.